Hello, and welcome to the home stretch episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Katherine Weigel. I am one of your hosts. I am a Tiny Habits certified coach, a certified inspiration.
Yeah.
I have lost over 100 pounds, and with me today is my crosstown rival,
Donald Weigel, and I am at home stretching, just like Katherine said.
On the couch.
On the couch. And I have lost about 100 pounds and kept it off for about 5 years now. Very imprecise with all of that.
It's fine.
And we are here to talk about it. And it is the home stretch of this 3-part trilogy. Everyone knows that the third part of a trilogy is always the best, like
definitely.
Godfather 3.
We're ranking it up there.
Yeah, exactly. No, this will be more like Avengers Endgame, which most consider the best of the 3 Avengers movies.
I'm trying to go through.
No, wait,
I
that
know
was the 4th Avengers movie.
Oh well, there was a lot of fighting.
We'll have to do a 4th part of this. So
no,
that we
this
end
is
up with
this is a 3-part.
best.
This is as far as we go.
So the first 2 parts of this, you can go back and listen to them.
We had the Marsha episode and the Jan Brady episode.
Yeah,
and this is the Cindy
This
episode.
will be the Cindy featuring Kitty Carryall. Many references to Kitty Carryall. And the first 2 episodes you can go back and listen to, and I would highly encourage it.
Many times,
multiple over and over. Yeah, just keep re-downloading them though. Delete them and re-download them because that helps us. And they are based on a blog post article by registered dietitian Abby Sharp. And the article was sent to us by Wolt Place member Carla.
I was going to say Abby Normal. No,
yes,
it's Abby Sharp.
Abby Normal. And the idea was that she wrote this blog post to see if you could take some advice from intuitive eating and use it when it comes to weight loss. And intuitive eating is not typically a weight loss method. It's more of a way to develop a healthier relationship with food. And, I don't know a ton about it, frankly, but what I do know about is sustainable weight loss methods and ways to keep it off. And most of what she says in this blog post are things that Katherine and I have talked about over and over again on other episodes.
We sure have.
So I will not recap all 10 of the previous things, but from the last episode, we went through meal prep, do a fridge and pantry makeover. Approach danger foods wisely, make water your best friend forever, BFF, and find your food faves. So if you want to know more about that, please go back and listen to the next episode. And now, this week, we have the final five. The final 5 tips, tricks, one weird whatevers that
she says that they're small sustainable habits that you can put in place. It says sustainable gentle nutrition tips. There are no one weird anything. They're all quite normal.
Yeah, no, this is all about like crash diets and white knuckling and dropping 30 pounds by next Monday. No, none of it's about that at all. And the point here is that none of these things are things that you have to do. These aren't mandatory, obviously. But what Katherine and I like to do is take the things that really resonate with us and that really work for us from other plans and incorporate them into our own.
Just thinking, like, this is our simple 15-step program.
That's right.
Which is only the very beginning, is cutting the surface of the problem. So.
Yeah, exactly. We've done over 250 episodes about our simple 254-step plan. Just listen to all episodes of the show.
Exactly. And you know what? This is, as if you're listening to this is the month of December. December has started. Hello, holidays.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
Have you, listener? I'll just start naming names. Jan, Marsha. No, those are Brady's.
More
I can't
Brady's.
think of any
Kitty
names.
Carryall.
But
if your name is Kitty Carryall.
Have you, listener, put anything into practice in the last couple of weeks? I know we just got past Thanksgiving in the U.S. and now we're on to December and Hanukkah and Christmas.
Yeah.
But what can you do to advocate for yourself this month? We are going to give you 5 new and fresh, sustainable tips in this very episode.
Yes, indeed. And, hopefully some of these will be things that will resonate with you and you can incorporate. Maybe just start with one. Like, don't try and overwhelm yourself with all 15.
Well, and here's one question we got from a listener. It just came in, but the listener just now, the listener says, but can't I do nothing?
The answer is no.
No. Go back to the beginning. Go back to the end of the line.
If you do nothing, then nothing will change.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So the first one is, and this is one that is near and dear to my heart because I feel like almost nobody talks about this when they're talking about weight loss and fitness. Everybody talks about like they want particular recipes. They want to be told what to eat. They want to be told which exercises to do. They want to be told exactly like, paint by numbers. But this one is to prioritize sleep and manage stress.
But that's not my problem.
Chances are it really is. And, Catherine and I spent many years staying up way too late.
Yep.
And then, my father always likes to say it's much easier to get up the night before. We would do things like set an alarm for very early in the morning, promise that we would get up and exercise. Then that morning would come and we would be just too tired. Or frankly, we would be too tired and by, afternoon, I was making terrible decisions because I wasn't rested enough to stick to my intended goals.
Right. And we would go there was a point at which we were doing a 30-minute walk each morning, maybe a little bit more. And then we're like, time to tank up. We really burned it hard for a mile, walk around the block. And then we would just act like we were, maybe riding in the Tour de France and needed all of the carbs for the day. And then we would just eat 3,000 calories for breakfast and then again for lunch and then for dinner. So that didn't work out so well.
Yeah, for sure. And you know who else says that those things are important for weight loss management?
Whom?
Science.
Oh!
Yeah, science as one voice. There is evidence, and this is directly from Abby Sharp's article. Evidence suggests that lack of sleep can increase our hunger hormone ghrelin, reduce our satiety hormone leptin, and as a result can increase appetite and weight. It may also interfere with the reward center of the brain, resulting in greater cravings for high sugar and high fat foods. It's therefore not surprising that a 6-year prospective study found that those who slept less than 5 hours and more than 9 hours a night were 35% and 25% more likely to experience a 5 kilogram, about 11 pounds weight gain over a 6-year period, respectively.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And so, I didn't make the connection early on in this about getting a good night's sleep and how important that was and really reducing stress. Like when I have a high amount of stress, I don't know where this came from. I don't know if I was born with it or if I learned it. But when I'm under a severe amount of stress, my first instinct is to eat something to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
And I did that for years and years and years. I would get into a high stress situation at work. Somebody would upset me. I would even, be upset about something that happened in traffic or something. And my instincts were to eat about it and, soothe myself with food to make myself feel better. And it wasn't until I realized that being my best self included getting a good night's sleep and reducing my stress levels so that I wasn't giving into that over and over again.
Well, and two, with that prioritizing sleep, I know for such a long time, I saw my time bifurcated. I think I just used the right word.
Ooh.
I'm impressed with my own self.
Yeah.
Between my work hours and my home life. And because I worked so much and gave so much, home time was me time. And that meant who wants to sleep? Because that's just giving away time that I could be doing my own thing, watching Seinfeld, going to movies, and probably eating food.
Probably.
So we would just stay up really late, sleep in.
Yeah, because this time's for me.
This is me time.
Yeah.
Or when we became parents, waiting to sort of live our real lives when she went to sleep.
Right.
So wanting to stay up a couple of hours to have time to unwind and giving up on sleep, I didn't realize how damaging that was. And I know a lot of people still manage that passive downtime And maybe we should just do an episode on sleep at some point.
Yeah.
But that passive, like scrolling and watching TV that is just sort of numbing and not active rest. It's just kind of, zone out. Anyway, I already said that. But it's so important to get good sleep. And not only does it give us, Donald and I just thought of myself as just always tired. This is how life is.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. I'm going to sleep in. And it took us time, but we became morning people and we transferred our nighttime veg out to morning activity and rebounding and walking and watching TV in the morning instead of in the evening. And it's really helped balance and start our days off right. So it takes time to do it. But if you have this like fixed mindset of, well, that's just not the kind of person that I am, well, I just can't, you're going to live in to what you manifest. So let's work on that sleep and the stress.
Yeah, I went from being somebody who tried to schedule as few classes before noon as possible when I was in college and grad school to now one of my favorite times of day is when I get up super early in the morning and I get to hang out with Catherine and we have coffee and we exercise and we will, watch TV while we're rebounding. It's really like one of the highlights of my day now is that getting up early. So if I can flip it around, I'm confident that you can too.
Well, and part of that managing stress, and maybe this ties into the next step.
How about we do that? Number 12
is acknowledge your emotional eating patterns, which ties into that management of stress. I thought I was the most put upon, overworked, underappreciated, victimized member of my family and my job and life, and nobody did more than I did, and I had to do it all on my own. And I realized that all that was doing was putting me up on that victim pedestal, and my reward each day was to eat about it instead of telling people what I needed, making people guess what was going to make me happy, or just glaring in a corner until someone noticed I was mad.
Yeah.
That was my method, like every day.
Your corner glaring is legendary.
I actually glared at someone at the gym yesterday. I almost set them on fire with my laser beam eyes.
Yeah.
But
I like how you subtly dropped that you went to the gym
yesterday.
I
went to the gym.
When I was at the gym yesterday.
Oh my gosh. But I thought I had I thought I had like a food isn't satisfying to me problem. I thought I had I can't work out because work is so stressful problem. What I had was a boundary problem. And my answer for every problem or every joy too. And she says this in the article about food. Food is part of life. We don't just eat to live. Food is celebration. We use it in mourning. It is, on television, you eat obviously a gallon of ice cream if you're sad or somebody breaks up with you.
Yeah, people do that all the time on TV, don't they?
Ice cream and big fluffy robes. The sales go up as soon as people break
people
up.
Are sad.
But it becomes our only coping mechanism. We're so used to turning to food to self-soothe that we don't know that there are other ways to go. I got to the point in 2015 where I was eating and drinking to just numb myself to the stress of life. And it was getting scary. Just eating cookies is not going to solve the problem at work or an issue with the family. And it took months and months, and still years, I'm still working on it, to work on those boundaries, but recognizing it and getting to the point where we've had stressful things, still happening all the time. It's not like life is perfect now, but my instinct now is, wow, I really need some fresh air.
Yeah.
I really need to step away from the event instead of just automatically pouring a glass of wine, and which is like a joke in society. Like, oh, it's 1 o'clock. Oh, I'm a mom. There might be wine in here.
Exactly.
Which is kind of gross. Now I know that going for a walk makes me feel better. Now I understand that I need time to process my emotions and that it's okay that I don't have an immediate response for something. So we have done Zooms in Wolt Place about emotional eating. We've probably done episodes on the podcast too. I can't think of them now.
We have. I'll look them up and link to them in the show notes.
But the better we're able to understand our own feelings and assert ourselves in the world, the less emotional eating we do. And it has been such a change for me from feeling like a victim of my life to actually advocating and owning my choices and not turning to food every time that, something doesn't go my way.
Yeah, and really being honest with myself about why I was turning to food. There's an old expression which is sort of escaping me right now about realizing you have a problem is half the battle or something like that. Once I realized that was my problem, I recognizing when I was lying to myself about why I was eating was really a eye-opening experience for me, and it really was life-changing in terms of hitting my fitness goals.
100%. I mean, I had no idea that I was an emotional eater.
Right.
I thought that maybe I didn't have the right 2-point muffin from the grocery store, with the right amount of fiber. I thought that was my problem. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you weren't eating the right amount of fiber muffin for sure.
Well, and she also talks about
both can be true.
Exactly. But she talks about, coming up with other coping strategies when stress comes your way, and that, a licensed therapist can also be a really big boon if it is something way beyond just like, oh, Catherine and Donald say I need boundaries. There we go. There are big issues in life that are really difficult to deal with, and having a professional there to help navigate you through that can really help not only with your weight health, but it all ties together, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So work on that emotional eating.
Yes, indeed. All right, so now, before I read the next tip, I would like to disclaimer it up front and say that I'm not the biggest fan of this.
We're just going to say it.
I'm going to read it anyway, and the tip is choose whole foods more often. And I know why Abby Sharp is saying this. I'm not saying that it's a bad idea to choose whole foods more often, but I do think that in a lot of ways, the idea of choosing whole foods more often leads a lot of people to fall back onto that some foods are good and some foods are bad.
Yeah.
And I really don't like that. But so how I would like to reframe it is try to add more low-calorie foods into your life that you enjoy. And for me, that includes things like cauliflower, like single-serve, like ready-to-go cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, pre-chopped and ready-to-go fruits and other vegetables, berries and things like that. And the more of those things I add in that are low-calorie and satisfying and full of fiber, the less likely I am to want to binge on other things.
Right. And for me, too, I get that she talks about minimally processed and sticking to whole foods, but I think that there is a big misconception that like avocados and nuts don't have calories.
Right.
Or that it's like, oh, well, it's a whole food. I've been eating really well,
but
quote
it's
unquote.
Good fat. It's good fat.
But still, if you're eating a high volume of food, you're going to gain weight. So for us, and this is sort of what Donald was saying, I do that semi-homemade thing where I have the packaged Trader Joe's fettuccine Alfredo, but I pump up the volume with, a bunch of broccoli and some pre-chopped chicken. And I think when we think the only way to get it done is, well, I don't have the time to make whole foods. I don't have the time. I don't really like quinoa. What do I do? Go with the foods that you really like and figure out how to make them work to your advantage. She talks about, if popping a frozen pizza in the oven once a week means it helps you reduce stress and get to bed on time, then do it. But I'm here to say if you need a frozen pizza every single night because you can't deal, that's totally fine.
What about 5 nights a week?
Sure.
How about, no, I'll stop.
But we don't feel guilt about anything that we eat. I see it as oh my gosh, guess what I got away with? I was able to have, a frozen shepherd's pie last night as a snack before dinner because it was only 290 calories.
Right.
I didn't have to dirty any dishes.
Oh, I love that.
It was done already.
Yeah.
It's good with ketchup. And it's a full win. So the whole food thing, if you are in that family and you are able to take the time to make whole foods and you enjoy them, we are not slamming that at all. But for anybody who...
Oh, no, obviously it's great to do that. But I don't think, my whole thing is if you don't do that, that doesn't mean you can't achieve your nutrition and your health and your fitness and your weight loss goals. Like you definitely can. Like I eat a lot of processed foods, like prepackaged, ready to go. And I managed to lose 100 pounds doing it.
Yeah. So do what you need to do. Just because something is homemade from scratch doesn't make it, one, morally better.
Right.
Nor does it make you like lose weight faster. Do what fits your lifestyle.
All right. I think it's time for tip 14.
Now, this is one that I can just dive right into, and it's a good one. So it is move your body in ways that feel good. This isn't about punishment. This isn't about burn it to earn it. This isn't, especially at this time of year, you would have to run 4 ultra marathons to be able to have gravy at the dining table.
That's
like,
right.
No, but like, I hate those. You've got to earn the food. You've got to, this.
No
this
pain,
compares.
no gain.
Exactly. But actually think about exercise being separate from weight loss. It is a benefit. It is a boon, but it is not, they're not, 1-to-1 ratio. We can't outrun a fork, but what really does matter, and studies actually show this, that being outside matters to overall happiness and emotional health, getting fresh air, being outside, getting in some stretching so that your body feels limber so that you can get up off the floor, going for a walk, going upstairs, doing yoga, playing some basketball.
Oh, you beat me to the basketball.
Were you going to say basketball?
Oh, of course. I can't get through an episode of about exercise without mentioning basketball.
But it says research suggests that exercise doesn't contribute as much as we'd like to think to weight loss efforts, and putting too much stock into giving people a false sense of entitlement to extra calories because they put in the work. So this is exactly what I was just talking about.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that we used to do that thing where we would get up and go to the gym and, work really hard for 20 or 30 minutes. And then we would think that we had burned enough calories that we could indulge in some sort of, high calorie, whatever, breakfast or lunch. And it would, essentially not that it wiped out those morning exercise efforts, but it was really not helping us reach our weight loss goals. And part of this is changing it slightly. Part of this is just like we talked about on the last episode about eating foods that you don't enjoy. Eventually you're going to stop doing it. If you keep doing exercises that you hate, then eventually you're going to stop doing it. And it was really when I let go of the guilt that I felt because I felt like I wasn't doing real exercise in air quotes because, going to the gym made me miserable, running made me miserable. I would do those things because I thought that's what you had to do, that was the only thing that counted as real exercise. It wasn't until I figured out that walking counts, that rebounding counts. Like, I know it sounds terrible to a lot of people, but I actually just enjoy walking up and down the stairs while I'm listening to a podcast or music or whatever. Like, I get excited about the idea that I can walk upstairs and not get completely, destroyed, winded. Like, that is fun for me. But find some sort of movement that you actually enjoy, that you don't hate, so that you'll keep doing it.
Well, and finally, she says at the very end, ultimately make it something you can stick to for life. And I would take umbrage with that just a bit, because as the seasons of our lives change, as the actual seasons change, there might be activities that no longer suit your needs or you're physically able to do. When I started doing this last time during Venture, I did a Couch to 5K running program, and it was fantastic. But now I have arthritis in both my hips, and I have janky knees. That's what the doctor said. I'm going to do a GoFundMe for it.
Janky knees was actually the companion doll to Kitty Carryall. They wasn't featured on the episodes as often as Kitty Carryall on the Brady Bunch.
But instead of specifically thinking, I am a runner, I am a walker, I am a swimmer. Think of yourself as an active person. And that might, depending on the actual season or the figurative season, mean different things at different times. Right now, my flexibility is really important to me. So yoga is more important to me. Right now, we're not doing tons of outdoor hiking and that kind of thing, but I am going to the gym. So be willing to diversify and evolve as your needs and seasons change.
And look, I'm saying this just in a different way. I'm saying what Catherine just said in a different way, but there are times in my life where my work becomes overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
And it becomes my whole life, and I just have to get in the movement that I can get in. And then there are other times where it slows down and it's much lighter and I can add exercise. And just because I go through a period of time where I'm not doing, strength training or planks or whatever, doesn't make me a bad person. I'm doing what I can do, and being really forgiving of myself for that is really important. And that transitions into our final tip, number 15. We are in the home stretch.
This is it. What is it going to be?
The home stretch, and that is to be kind to yourself. And this is another thing that people really don't talk about, but people talk about all the time about no pain, no gain. And, I feel like a lot of times people go out of their way to heap shame upon others.
I thought you were going to say a bad word. I seriously, my blood pressure just went up.
Whoa. You know me better than that.
Shamrocks.
Shamrocks, exactly. To heap shamrocks upon others, to heap shame upon people for, there's this perception that if you're overweight, you must be lazy or you just must not have the right
morally
willpower.
Not.
And I think that I spent years and years internalizing those things and, really beating myself up over the fact that I just couldn't do this. And really, they don't talk about this in the same way they don't talk about reducing stress or getting enough sleep, but really being kind. Catherine likes to say, and I'm going to steal her line because
I'm really
she stole my
interested.
talk about basketball, that no one ever hated themselves thin.
Yeah.
I love that. You have to learn to love yourself and forgive yourself. I used to, every time I would go, I would be on a plan or something and I would go off for a day or for a meal or whatever, I would just feel racked with guilt and beat myself up and feel like a failure and like I was never going to do it. And that led to me just not wanting to continue at all.
Yeah. And I think part of that too is there are so many people, and even people in Won't Place, our online support group, who find it really hard to be positive about themselves.
Yeah.
So here is a step back from that. Instead of being negative, be neutral. Don't use big adjectives. Don't put it as, trash panda loose again, dumpster fire of 2022.
Right.
Stop using those big negative adjectives and just see it as, I had a setback. Now I'm going to move forward. I did my best, and tomorrow I'll try again. We don't have to be super dramatic and just see a setback as proof that we're trash pandas. We are people trying to invest in our futures. And in Tiny Habits, the coaching program that I'm a part of, we talk a lot about positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
And really celebrating each success. If you think about training a dog, you don't go all right, well, when you give me your paw 7 times, then I'll give you a dog treat. You do positive affirmations after each positive action.
For sure.
The same thing when a baby is learning to walk. You don't go, boo, yo, baby. Come back when you're doing it great.
Yeah, you fell down there. You're not going to ever do it.
We never boo.
You're booing babies trying to walk.
No, but we think unless we hit the perfect ideal each and every time that we're garbage people. But just showing up and being brave enough to give it a try and see what works matters. When people do marathons, just like listening to 15 different tips.
Yeah.
We thought initially we're oh, here's one episode we could do.
Right.
We've melted it into 3, everybody.
Yeah.
But if you're running a marathon, there aren't just dead-faced people staring at you judgingly at mile 1 through 22. You know, it's not just like, we'll cheer when you've really proven yourself.
That's right.
Boo to you, loser.
Yeah,
like,
until you cross that finish line, you're nothing.
Right. So are you going to be met with people booing, which is what you do to yourself every day?
Right.
Do you want some creepos just staring at you like the army of the dead, just dead-eyed staring at you when you run? Or do you want people cheering you on? Like, where would you show up?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, and the people in this metaphor are you cheering yourself. Like, if you're constantly booing yourself, no wonder you're not going to achieve your goals, because you're your worst enemy when it comes to achieving your health and fitness goals.
Exactly. And really, in the end, what does it hurt to be nice? Like, does anyone go, you know what is really the way to go? Cruelty and meanness to all. Like,
that's right.
Just prove guilty until proven innocent. Try some positive affirmations, or at least neutral, like, yep, I did a thing, and now I'm moving forward. So in all of this, as we round up this 15-part episode of really, again, think about what you might be able to get yourself to do, to change, to invest in. What mindset can you at least open yourself up to instead of the negative moving to a positive? We don't have to do all of this at once. In fact, we suggest you do not, but find one tip that we gave you today and see if you can integrate it into the next week. So that includes prioritize sleep and manage stress, which is 2 things, but it's 1. Acknowledge your emotional eating patterns.
Yeah.
I have emotions and I eat. Yes. Choose whole foods more often, or at least do what you're gonna do.
Maybe.
And move your body in ways that feels good, and then be excellent to yourself, which is you never saw Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, did you?
I still have not seen
we have
any
to
of
see
the Bill
that.
and Ted's.
We should watch that. We got to go back to that one. I think it still holds up. But try something. What else are you doing this December? You got some time on your hands, so get it done. I know Chopin would.
Chopin would get it done, and so can you. And speaking of getting it done, thank you so much. And speaking of positive reinforcement, you did it. You've gotten to the end of this episode and to the end of this 3-parter. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much to Abby Sharp for writing this article and inspiring us to do these episodes. And thank all of you for listening. You can find our episodes wherever you found this one. We are available on all of the major podcast platforms, and also on our website at any time at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep, and if you are at weonlylookthin.com, click on that link for join our support group to find out more about Wolt Place. December is the perfect time to join Wolt Place. We Only Look Thin Place is our Facebook-based accountability group for women. We are not a weight loss plan, but we are a place to talk about all of these issues that we've mentioned in the last 3 episodes. We offer support, accountability. We do habit challenges and food challenges, lots of different challenges. But it's such a safe place, and I'm so proud of all the hard work that everyone is doing. And again, shout out to Carla for suggesting this article. She is a valued member of Wolt Place as well. We have 2 subscription options, a monthly option with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 7-day complimentary trial with a 3-month subscription. So come on over and see if Wolt Place is right for you.
Yes, please do that. And also, you can interact with us on social media. You can find us at We Only Look Thin on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Or you could send us an email if you would like. If there are questions, if there are episodes you feel like we haven't tackled, if you have some ideas for an episode, if you have questions or compliments or just want to say hello, you can write to us at weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
If someone just typed hello. That would be a little creepy, Donald.
I'd probably assume it was spam, but what are you going to do?
Exactly. But if you also have a couple of spare minutes and can head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and a review, not only does it let us know that 5 years of recording a podcast, has it really been 5 years?
Yeah, our fifth year anniversary is coming up this month, really.
That is bananas.
Yeah,
so give us a shout out. Congratulate us on 5 years. Congratulate yourself on being a longtime listener. Leave us a rating and review. It makes us feel good and also helps the space algorithms.
Yes,
I'm sticking with space algorithms.
The space algorithms
it sounds
promote
sciencey
the podcast.
if I say space, doesn't it?
It really does. And if you are in space or on Earth or whatever planet you're on, you can also tell somebody about the show. We would be grateful if you could let somebody know who you think might get something out of it. We would appreciate that. Word of mouth is one of the best ways in which the show grows. If you're on a internet group and you think that people there might like us, we would be grateful if you'd give us a shout out.
Yep, and if you are not sure if space algorithms matter or Whole Foods matter in weight loss, just remember that Donald and I are an inspiration.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.